Those credit card chips were introduced about a year ago because they were supposed to be safer to use. Apparently, though, hackers have already caught up. There are new security concerns, and tech expert Dave Hatter is here to tell us what's going on and how you can keep your information safe. We thought we were doing a better job, but it turns out we weren't.
Well, not really. Here's the problem. These cards have been around for a while. They're called EMV card or pin and chip cards. They've been in Europe for a long time. The banks realized that one of the main ways they could cut down on fraud would be to basically force any merchant that uses a credit card to switch to these new cards. And a lot of people have probably seen them. You know, it's got like a gold oval-shaped chip on it. Well, the problem is it was very costly to do this. The banks basically forced this on everyone. Not all retailers have switched to the full-blown implementation where you stick your card in, and for folks that have used it, you dip the card. You don't swipe it like the old mag stripe on the back. It waits a few seconds, and then in theory, like in Europe, you have to enter a PIN. A lot of people have not fully implemented this thing end-to-end where you have to enter the PIN. You can use the dip, but a quote signature. So it's not as secure because it doesn't use the PIN as part of the transaction. Here's the new flaw that someone discovered. This just came out last week. There's a big security conference every year called Black Hat, where all these security people get together and expose these kind of flaws and so forth. Well, what NCR and some other researchers reported was there's a way for the cards to still have a mag stripe on the back, and most do, so they're backwards compatible, to reprogram that stripe. So if you have a system where the reader is not fully implementing the whole pin and chip methodology, well, then they can basically fool the reader into taking the mag stripe off the back. They reprogram the mag stripe, and then the reader will take it. So it gives hackers and criminals the ability to counterfeit the cards the same way they always did. And that's the real problem.
So what was the point then? I mean, I feel like we got these cards, we've been doing these switches. It's a pain for people at home and for the companies too.
It is a pain. This has cost a lot of money. The National Retail Association has pushed back against this, as have other industry groups, because it costs a lot of money to replace these readers. You're kind of caught in a Twilight Zone-ish place where you have a lot of merchants who didn't want to pay to switch, and they're being forced really because the big banks, you know, MasterCard and Visa, are basically forcing this through. If the fraud happens at your store, now you're 100% responsible for it. That's the impetus to switch. But this is costly, it's going really slow, and they haven't locked in the entire system end to end, and that's why this is still possible.
Will we ever get out of the Twilight Zone?
I think so, but it's taken a long time. A lot of people are just now getting these new cards with the chips in them. So again, this has been a massive rollout. I don't think this is going to affect consumers any more than it did in the past because it's always been easy to go out on the dark web, buy credit cards, and counterfeit the cards. That is ideally what these PIN and chip cards are going to stop. But until they basically make you dip the card with the chip and enter a PIN and get out of this old mode altogether with the mag stripe capability, you're not going to be able to completely stop this. So I think it'll take care of itself eventually, but yeah, unfortunately, this is yet another flaw we found.
How far are we looking down the road? Any idea?
If I had to guess, I'd say probably within the next year or two.
Okay.
As soon as some retailer gets hit through this and they get charged with all of the fraud under this new system, I think you'll start to see a lot more people say, all right, yeah, it's time to make this switch from end to end rather than this kind of piecemeal approach they've taken now.
Yeah, but it's got to take something bad happening first.
Okay. Sadly, I think you're right, Kara.
Thank you, Dave. We appreciate it. We'll be back with much more. We are going to talk about a forecast first, though. You know, it is going to get humid, and we got some rain chances today.
Fox 19 Now First Alert Weather.